Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you're all doing well, and today my friends we're back with a showdown between my Delhi Sultanate and the Mongols. So this is going to be on a hybrid map, which is where Delhi and the Mongols both really shine. Now for different reasons, of course. Firstly, the Mongols are very good on these hybrid maps because in the Dark Ages they can essentially use their OVO and produce a bunch of free units. Spearmen, for example, can really press on to your early docks, but that's one of the reasons why the Delhi Sultanate is a viable matchup for Delhi. Like, it's more even because Mongols, yes, they can put spearmen pressure on your docks, but with Delhi, your fishing boats have bow and arrows, so essentially they can fend off the spearmen and protect your docks. So it actually makes the matchup relatively reasonable, I would say. I mean, I still think the Mongols have pretty substantial advantages throughout the course of the game, but Delhi can put up a pretty good fight, and I think they're one of the few civs that can actually fight the Mongols on relatively even footing here on these hybrid maps. So as far as the build order goes, this is pretty standard with Delhi. You're just going to be opening up the lumber camp, which does allow you to immediately get forestry, but then you want to be setting up your dock very quickly. Now, I highly recommend, if you are going to be going for this, to bring your scout with your initial villager, because if the Khan finds your villager first and your scout is nowhere nearby, the Khan is just going to bully down your villager, and you might not even be able to finish your dock without pulling a second villager, which really sucks. My opponent's Khan kind of cruising up on the high ground, scouting out the trade post. So obviously, I didn't know he was doing this right now, but this is a pretty big tell, perhaps, that he's maybe interested in doing a little bit of early trading, just kind of confirming. Although if you play the maps enough, you're going to know where all these are. They're always in more or less the same spot. So he is getting the sheep up there, does have a decent little haul, but it doesn't matter too much. So here, he's going to be setting up a dock much quicker, and this is very smart from him, because on this map, this is plenty of fish. This is going to last you forever. You have 8,000 food and deep sea fish right here, which deep sea fish do respawn over time, so it's very safe. However, the middle does have more bountiful rewards, right? There's a ton of fish here, but Mongols cannot contest the water against Delhi in the Dark Ages. If he were to set up in the middle, for example, I could come in with like 1,000,000 Delhi fishing boats and he would have a very bad time. So right here, the scout's going to be hunting down the Khan, and just as what I was saying, right? Had he shown up earlier and ran straight here, I could lose the villager. But now we're going to be getting our first fishing boat out, and our scout is able to push back the Khan. The Khan becomes more of a threat against your scouts in the feudal ages because the Khan's damage does scale throughout the ages. So right now he only does 2, but when he gets a little bit higher up, he starts to be able to kill your scouts pretty effectively and also snipe villagers. So yeah, we do go for an early barracks. I play so much against Mongols on ladder. I'm not like super high ranked, but around 1400 to 1500 is where I usually play. And here in this case, Mongols usually do tower rush here. So I figured that he's not trying to shut down my water. What is the next thing that a Mongol player typically would do on ladder? Well, that is going to be going for your gold and trying to set up towers here and really give you the business. So getting some early spears, or at least having the barracks up to do that. But yeah, big mistake from my opponent. He was probably microing elsewhere and did lose his Khan. So that's probably one of the best feelings out there, not having a Khan poking your wood line and being annoying. Now I can take a little bit of a breath and try and assess the map and figure things out here. So my opponent's build, pretty nice positioning here from the old TC, right next to the wood line and pretty close to the gold. I mean, he doesn't need to probably build a gold gathering site. Granted, he could move the TC a little bit closer and do long distance wood mining at this point, but I think overall he's doing relatively fine. So he's got 3 fishing boats. As far as my fishing goes, I only have 2. I had to move a little bit further to secure the middle than this pond that's very close to his base. Relatively unfortunate too. If you look here, he's got like a ton of fish back here, whereas my pond in the back is I think I have less deep sea fish and less fish overall in my pond. So good thing I was able to get the middle. Otherwise, I would have been at a very slight disadvantage, I would say. So we can do a little bit of fast forwarding right now, and hopefully you guys don't mind. We can talk over the build as we go. So of course, going for some gold at this point, setting up a second house. Just need to get to that 200 gold. Thankfully, the Mongols weren't rushing, and I was scouting. I do see a Zovo here, and I did see that there was no barracks there. So at this point, I don't really need to be worrying about any sort of early pressure. But again, just the fact that he's playing Mongols forced me to spend 150 wood on a barracks, which could have been a second dock. It could have been any number of other things, but knowing this, I was kind of like, okay, let's try something a little bit spicy here. Let's go ahead and make some spearmen and go ahead and pressure his water a little bit, right? Let's give the Mongols a taste of their own medicine. So 2 spearmen are going to be coming out. The efficient production as well, which is a Delhi upgrade, which allows you to put scholars in military buildings, which boosts their production quite a bit. This is very good for being pressured early. You can either produce like double horsemen to harass your opponents, or you can essentially use it to, for defensive purposes, just to get like archers out, whatever. It's a very good tech. So we pull 2 villagers, which is going to be hurting our eco a little bit, but we are bum rushing across the map with 2 villagers and 2 spears. The Mongols do set up an outpost here, and I think the reason why he did this is so eventually he can set up a dock here and maybe try and push me out of the water. So I had to be privy to that. So here we do have the Dome of Faith coming up. Dome of Faith is going to be getting power built by 8 villagers. For my opponent here, he's going for Silver Tree. So I couldn't quite see this. I I couldn't like push up here and scout without really hugging the water because the TC would have been able to kill my scout. So I did not see the silver tree coming. So very, very unfortunate for me, knowing that he's probably going to be trading pretty heavily. So yeah, the Khan down here lurking and maybe seeing if I'm doing some early fortifications. So we do find his villager down here. I'm not sure what that villager was doing. Maybe he was looking to set up some outposts down in this direction, but nonetheless, we do head him off with the spearmen and are going to be pushing that villager back, while my 2 villagers are going to be closing in. But my opponent with a very good response, he sets up his own outpost, because I was going to outpost him right here, and then just absolutely wreck his water. Maybe I should have brought more villagers, but nonetheless, I think 2 is fine. So he is able to get my spears back, and we will set up an outpost because he will eventually finish these fish here, and will have to go out for the further fish, and it will force him to allocate resources to deal with this. So that's kind of the general idea here. Up on the high ground here, in the near the west of the water, my scout's chasing down his Khan, but his Khan now does 4 damage, which is double the damage, so might be able to get there. And here, there's going to be an archery range coming out, and myself, I'm going to be going for horsemen very, very soon. And that's kind of been a bit of a paradigm shift I've been having. I've been playing a lot on the past couple days on my own, and I noticed that I have a really big tendency to go men-at-arms and crossbows. And it can be good, of course, but I feel like lancers and horsemen, even though horsemen aren't great at dealing with like longbows and rushes and things like that, they still give you decent map control and vision. So I've been going more for like lancer style builds, and I've noticed that my success rate in these latter games has been exponentially higher. And you kind of notice that with HRE as well. Like Holy Roman players typically just go with, lancers, right? That's kind of their jam. And then they get men-at-arms later on. But the lancers do give you really good map control in the beginning, and I think are just more impactful than men-at-arms. So here are the 2 spears going to be shooting his fishing boats. Obviously not enough DPS, but it is kind of an annoying thing that my opponent is going to have to potentially deal with. Now, as far as fishing boats go, I do have 10. My opponent here is rocking slightly less. He does have 8, so it looks like he's maybe cut production there. Probably to set up the silver tree and get the trading going. So yeah, I think he's going to be going this way. Looking at his vision, let's go ahead and see what he can see. Yeah, he knows where the trading posts are, obviously, and probably will be going down to the southwest corner, or the very south tip of the map, I should say. So yeah, just a little bit of Pagger trading here. He's got villagers garrison in here. So this is a huge win for me. He's got 5 villagers not doing anything. And yeah, that is a huge, huge win. During the course of the game, I actually thought those were spearmen, so I wasn't aware that those were those foul beasts there. Sables coming up marketplace as well. We do have Sanctity on the way here. This is going to be allowing me to capture sacred sites relatively early. And we are getting pretty good gold. Honestly, I would say in terms of eco, we're doing pretty decent. Looking at the income per minute, I'm beating him on food, wood, and gold is pretty much even. So yeah, we're ahead on most fronts, which has been good. And again, he's still got the workers garrison in there. I think that must have been a mistake during the game. But this is like the big deciding factor, really. Like the worker thing is cute, but this is really, really going to be the big business. If his trade is able to get on and go efficiently, I'm just going to get crushed. The silver tree boom is probably one of the strongest booms in the entire game. So I do have a scout running around. I had some suspicions that he might be doing this, and my scout is going to be discovering here. So taking a look at my vision, we can see that he is going to be getting the silver tree going. In terms of current eco, I'm at 43 villagers, and my opponent here is going to be sitting pretty at 45. So he is slightly ahead. Granted, some of them are garrisoned in that tower, which is a mistake. But again, it's not the end of the world, really. So yeah, he does have the silver tree, but thankfully I'm going triple stable. And though he can build spears and things to kind of mitigate that, it is really tough to protect traders from horsemen, even with spears, because again, I can outmaneuver, I can run around. The best way to do that is to set up outposts and just get a network of outposts all lined up and do your business that way. So he still got, he pulled the villagers out. So he eventually rectified that mistake. He put a couple archers in there just to try and work down the tower. We do buy a little bit of stone to actually get arrow slits here. Just wanted to make this as annoying of a thorn in his side as possible. And our horsemen have discovered the first of the silver tree traders, so they are going to be getting rowed down by the homeboys here. And this is great value. I mean, if I just let him do this, it would be GG. Like 164, he's getting food and wood as well. So the Khan comes down to try and intercept. We've got more and more horsemen surging across the map with the triple stables. Upgrades are going to be popping in soon, and more scholars coming out as Sanctity is getting relatively close to finishing. Now back up here, spearmen are moving into Torch, but he did not notice that I had the arrow slit upgrade, so his spearmen here actually going to be getting shreked pretty good. And I understand the sense of urgency, because otherwise with arrow slits and also having it garrisoned, his fishing boats would not be able to go out past this initial alcove, and he would probably have to switch to some sort of a different economy, like using pastures, all that sort of good stuff. So here comes more traders moving across the map. The dreaded wolves are even on my side, so they are Jelly Sultanate wolves. And the horsemen are getting good picks and making sure just to prioritize the ones that do have gold. You can see here he's setting up his Yam network to get the trade post, which does give you sanctuary for your traders. But we are getting a ton of value here. These traders are getting shreked pretty good, and I would call this a pretty massive win that we discovered it this early. But again, if you don't discover it, It's pretty bad. Now, something that's very funny is he set up a proxy dock in my corner, and to be honest, I did not know this. If we go ahead and take a look at my vision, I had no idea he was back here, and I didn't even really think to scout it. I mean, I saw he had a fishing operation up here, so I assumed that would be the main jam that he was doing, but I really had no idea. And I even forgot when I came back to cast this replay because it was just so inconspicuous. But he is going to be getting a bit of a trade, or I suppose a food advantage against me. You can see he's now ahead on food, gold, and every resource. So yeah, the trade is pretty damn scary. He's got some villagers hiding in here. I have more and more horsemen coming in, and I do pull a villager from my main base to set up outposts to try and deny this, because yes, he might be able to push back my horsemen with spears, but if I do have the setup outpost down here, that's going to make it super tough for him to actually crack that without committing to battering rams, other siege equipment. However, he's got another trade post up top here, so Homeboy's got plenty of options here. He's got plenty of options. But the Haggard duel does continue here. My villager did pop out and try and repair a little bit, but my opponent was privy and did take it down. He's now sending a spearman down with his archers to try and mitigate some of my horsemen. And some of the horsemen will go, but thankfully he does take down a trader with him as he does fall. And yeah, just more and more horsemen, more outposts being set up. The arrow slits are being built here on the outpost, which will give them a little bit of damage. Not enough to kill the trader super quick, but it should give us the beginning steps on really shutting that down. So scholars are now fanning out. As we approach the castle age, we just got the compound of the defender. I was a little bit off on that. Actually, I should have had the villagers or the scholars going earlier, but my micro was really focused down on the engagements by the trade post. But the scholars are going to be moving up and grabbing all the relics on the map, and Delhi's probably one of the best civs for getting relics. Them and obviously HRE, since they can build prelates. And this was really strange. I saw a villager back here. I assumed that the villager was there from earlier to like try and tower me, and he just like left it there. But I still didn't scout this, which was a relatively big problem, right? So here we got mosques being set up. We're going to be getting several mosques. I had a pretty big wood bank, so I was like, let's just do that. And also lancers are going to be coming out as well. So the first 3 lancers are on the field. We have a sacred site being taken, and the relics are being grabbed across the map. My opponent really aggressively trying to get this trade route going. And here you can see the trader might be able to get it. I don't know if the outpost will be able to finish that trader. It looks like it will. And here we have a spring Alden placement coming as well. And yes, it looks like the single arrow tower is able to DPS these guys down, which is quite huge. And he finally was able to push back my emplacement using some spearmen, the con, and some archers to pick off the spearmen that were inside. But yeah, pretty good fishing here in the middle. We got 14 fishing boats. My opponent probably has more, considering he's got double dock. He's got 9 here, plus another 8. So he is beating me on fishing. And in terms of income per minute, he's doing pretty good. Again, gold is going to be favoring me, though, because now I have Sanctity, so I have the Sacred Site giving me 200 gold per minute. We got relics coming back to the base. So the first relic, I believe, has arrived back from the west. I'm not sure. No, he's coming back right now with the relic. This guy going to be heading to the west as well and grabbing this relic. And up top, we just parked the 4 horsemen, because that's the next intuitive move for my opponent, right? Is to go over here and set up the trade post and really try and shut that down. And looks like he's just killing the lumber camp, which might seem a little bit strange that he's wasting time there, but it's actually not, because he's Mongol. So he's going to get free resources for killing my buildings. So we're setting up a little bit of a janky wall just to try and make it a little bit more of a funnel for his forces to move in, so we can't get like envelopments. And here we're getting a bunch of lancers, scholars bringing back the relics, and we are going to be going lancer crossbow. That's a very good castle age composition. The lancers, of course, give you great staying power and map control, and the crossbowmen can deal with most threats, enemy cavalry, and they can also deal with men-at-arms and things like that. So pretty decent. So we just finished off that gold node there, but we do have all of the relics coming back. So overall, we are going to have 3 relics. 1 has been dropped off. The second one has been dropped off as well, and Homeboy's coming down with 3. So I believe my opponent has not gotten any yet, because there are 5 in total on these maps, and here we do have 1, and yeah, there's 1 up in the northeast as well. So as far as his composition goes, he is going to be Castle Age now. He does have the Step Read out, which is going to be giving him a shit ton of gold, 50% more, which is, I think this building needs to be toned down. I think it's one of the reasons why Mongols are so oppressive, in conjunction with tower rushes and the Dark Age action that they can really put on you. But here he's got a decent little army for sure. He's got a couple spears, bows, and some men being mixed in, more and more outposts being set up, but the outposts aren't really going to bear any fruit, considering I have 2 Spring Alden placements plus also an outpost there. That's going to take battering rams and or siege equipment to bring down. And the traders are probably going to be moving up to the northeast at this point as well. So bringing more villagers down here, as well as a scholar, to try and jack this relic. My cavalry did go up and around the top of the map, and now they're going to be jumping in and harassing his wood line. So this is why I think like lancers are so much better than men as a first initial unit. You can switch to men eventually for sustained combat, but the lancers like able to get, several villager kills, also going to be forcing his army back. And yeah, they just are so durable against TCs. Like, look how little damage the TC actually does against their armor, right? I did get a ranged armor upgrade as well. So now in terms of eco, he's at 54. Myself, I'm sitting at 63. I did use my extra gold that I'm getting from all my sacreds to buy another TC. So I essentially bought some stone, and now we're getting onto the step redoubt and getting some very, very nasty disruption. Is the Mongol army really just focusing heavily and trying to push me out of the corner? Battering ram coming up as well, but this is pretty brutal damage he just took back to the base. I mean, myself, of course, supply blocked as usual. I'm at 65, and he is down to 47 right now, so pretty cost-effective little situation. But Mongolian spearmen are coming. I obviously don't want to be fighting those bad boys, so just going to be hustling around the map, trying to get kills wherever I can. Down here, the battering ram is moving in, but Springholds don't do terrible damage against these. You can see here we are able to actually chew down that battering ram a little bit, and he does grab that relic, which was unfortunate. So he was able to get that one while my horsemen just sit up here and chill. The other relic is going to be grabbed by my opponent as well, so well played there. But the Lancers do eventually get caught. I try and get away here, and they're going to get one last morsel of value as they head down to the south. Some of the archers will intercept them. You can see how the Mongolian traders are pretty much offline right now. And the shaman is going to be heading back with the relic, but the Lancers got their lances couched and might be able to get him, although they didn't get the charge. But one more swing. Come on, do it, baby. And down he goes. So the shaman has fallen. The Mongols are in a bit of a precarious situation. A lot of their game plan has been kind of anchored around, of course, getting the trade going. And down here, you can see the villagers going to be repairing this, although I should have just been torching this. It was just a weird, like, kind of rapid instinct response there. But we are going for the outpost, and I think he's going to be switching his trade up to the north now, as the battering ram is going to be pushed back into the forest. And we do fortify with stone, trying to make this as difficult as possible here. Another outpost is going to be coming up. So Lancers and Crossbows are my army comp here. We've done some pretty good eco damage to put him behind, and now we just go after the ram, and we're going to be organizing our forces in the bushes, preparing for the great strike. We want to get this sacred site. That is kind of the game plan, to try and win in a little bit of a quicker manner. But we do get a secret agent gold outpost up here, which is good. Because the other one, he actually had an outpost here, and I did finally discover it, and I figured he would have arrow slits there. So trying to, wrestle this from him, I just wanted to go get it elsewhere on the map and be a little bit safer. So more and more outposts going down. A very risky play here. I pull a couple of my villagers, set up a keep, because I know if I can secure the sacred, considering he's behind on eco, I don't think he's going to have the strength to pay for siege equipment and wrestle it back. But here we got the spearmen coming down. I don't know what else is going to be coming. Yeah, so we got the engagement here, and I decided to just kind of abandon this because he's got a lot of spears, and I feel like my Lancers wouldn't win that. So I was hoping he would leave the keep, but I saw that he was on top of the keep, so I'm like, okay, screw this. I cancel the keep, I run away, gonna try and salvage those villagers, but they're not gonna make it. And the Lancers are just gonna run up into the base, and once again, this poor shaman. Yeah, he is, well, I guess it's not the same shaman, but this relic is certainly cursed, and we are going to be able to kind of hammer that guy down once again and delay the relic from getting back. So the Lancers get in there, they butter the bread of that shaman, and back at the base, we are going to be going Imperial very, very soon, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Compound of the Defender is up. We haven't really had the occasion to really use it so far because we've been going mostly with Lancers, who of course can't build walls, only the infantry can. I suppose that's one of the advantages of going with the Men-at-Arms, is you can take advantage of the Compound of the Defender, but overall, I think the Lancers have been pretty good. And the Crossbowman just kind of fell back here. Up on the top here, he is switching his trade, but preemptively, I went to go build a keep up here. So I grab all of my villagers that were on gold nearby, and they're going to be power building a keep, which is pretty much going to shut down trade for the rest of the game here. There's not going to be a whole lot that he's going to be able to do from this point. So the Lancers pull back, and we do, of course, have that sacred site. Imperial Age is on the horizon, so you can see here, we'll be pulling the gentleman on over here and setting up the Imperial Age. I can't remember quite where I built that. Was he going Imperial, or was it me? I could have sworn it was myself. Yeah, he's getting the White Stupa, which of course is an OVO. That is going to be giving him access to a perpetual OVO. Even if you run out of stone elsewhere, he's still going to have it here. So the Lancer's just kind of running around looking to do a little bit of harass, forcing outposts, and also keeping his army away from the map. In the meantime, I do have a War Elephant, as well as some Lancers and Crossbows, and we are able to push down his outposts in the bushes. And we're going to be trying our best to once again secure that sacred site, as now we do go for the Hussar Academy, which the Hussar Academy is bugged. I'm pretty sure this is how it works. It gives you food based on the total number of researches you have. And I have double barracks going, or double blacksmith. It doesn't work if you build the House of Learning, but if you build the Compound of the Defender, it still works and gives you the food. So something to take note of. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But here we are able to take down a couple of dudes. We have our villagers that we pulled from the main base to set up another keep here, just to really kind of stranglehold our opponent here. And now his army is here, but it's pretty low quality for the most part, considering we have an elephant, as well as Lancers and Crossbows. And once again, we do have pretty good map control, and income per minute is solid for us. We're really crushing on gold because, again, the step readout is very good and is allowing him to kind of keep up a little bit, but without trade, not having the YAM networks and all that sort of good stuff. Even though he is Imperial, we're both Imperial Age. Granted, Mongol Imperial Age is much stronger, but at this point he moves up and my opponent just calls GG because he sees me grabbing the sacred site, and that is it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Certainly showing the strength of Delhi on these hybrid maps. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Yeah, so you can see here, I've been playing a lot of games with Delhi in the past couple days and been having a ton of success with them, just mainly playing with cavalry. And really, it's made a pretty big difference. So let's go ahead here, check this out, and take a look at the resources overall. So looking at the economy, you can see here, yeah, we had them on pretty much everything, especially gold. And we got 3 relics. We got the sacred site with sanctity. But I mean, that's the thing. Like the silver tree is good and it can be really punishing and single-handedly winning the game. But if you don't pull it off, I think that the safer, more competitive route for Mongols, which is really oppressive, is using the deer stones and basically getting the Yam network and just being faster and really winning those early skirmishes and just like keeping the Delhi player trapped in his base. I think that would have been a little bit stronger. Also, maybe trying to shut me out of the water, like building docks in the middle with Yam networks to control and push me out of the lake. That would have been pretty devastating for sure. I think those like elements are just stronger. Silver Tree is very good for sure. But if your opponent scouts it, it's going to be a problem. I think, or maybe if you go Silver Tree too, you got to set up those outposts quicker so you can hide your traders, because he lost a lot of traders to like a couple horsemen. Anyways, GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Always a good time seeing the Mongols, the Mongols bite it there. But nonetheless, we'll see you back next time. Take care of yourselves, and that is it for now.